The universe is not punishing you, it's promoting you. But you keep refusing the promotion because it doesn't come in the package you expected. You wanted success to be delivered with a bow on top, handed to you on a silver platter, wrapped in comfort and convenience. Instead, it shows up disguised as problems, setbacks, failures, and losses. And you don't recognize it because you thought greatness would feel good while it was happening. Every champion will tell you that their greatest victories came from their most devastating defeats. But you're so busy mourning what you lost that you can't see what you're gaining. Your current struggle is not your punishment, it's your curriculum. And the universe is trying to teach you lessons that can only be learned under pressure. Stop fighting the very experiences that are trying to upgrade you right now. Somewhere in this world, someone is losing everything they thought defined them. And they have no idea they are about to find everything they were meant to become. You might be that person. You might be sitting there feeling like life has taken a sledgehammer to your dreams, your plans, your security, your identity. You might be wondering how you're going to survive what feels like the complete collapse of everything you built, everything you worked for, everything you believed in. Let me tell you something that will change how you see your current situation forever. What you call your breaking point, life calls your breakthrough point. What you see as your worst moment, destiny sees as your preparation moment. What feels like the end of your story is actually the beginning of your real story. Listen to me tell you about Elena 3 months ago. Elena thought she had her life figured out. She was a marketing director at a mid-sized advertising firm, making decent money, living in a nice apartment, driving a reliable car, saving for her daughter's college fund. She was a single mother who had worked her way up from an entry-level position through sheer determination and long hours. Elena believed she had finally achieved stability after years of struggle. Then life happened the way life happens, all at once. On a Tuesday morning, Elena walked into her office to find a pink slip on her desk, company downsizing. Her position was being eliminated effective immediately. 2 weeks later, she discovered that her ex-husband had stopped making child support payments 6 months earlier. And her lawyer informed her that he had moved out of state and was essentially unreachable. 1 month after losing her job, Elena's landlord informed her that the building had been sold and all tenants had 30 days to vacate. Her savings, which she thought would last 6 months, were gone in 8 weeks between apartment deposits, moving expenses, and basic survival. By month 3, Elena was living in her sister's basement with her 12-year-old daughter, sleeping on an air mattress, applying for jobs that paid half what she used to make, and standing in line at food banks. Everything she had worked for over the past decade was gone. Everything she thought made her successful, secure, worthy, erased. Elena told me later that there were nights when she would sit in her car in parking lots and cry until she couldn't breathe. She felt like a failure as a mother, as a professional, as a human being. She questioned every decision she had ever made. She wondered if her daughter would be better off with relatives who could actually provide for her. She felt like she had fallen so far that climbing back up was impossible. But here's what Elena didn't know during those dark nights in parking lots. Here's what you don't know about your own dark nights. Those moments when you feel most broken are actually the moments when you are most open. When life strips away everything external that you used to define yourself, you finally get to meet who you really are underneath all of that. When all the props are removed from your stage, you finally get to see what you can do with nothing but your raw talent and determination. Elena's breaking point came on a Thursday night when her daughter asked her if they were going to be okay. Elena looked into her daughter's eyes and realized that she had been so focused on what she had lost that she had forgotten what she still had. She had her mind, her skills, her experience, her ability to learn, her willingness to work, her love for her daughter, and most importantly, her choice about what to do next that night. Instead of applying for more traditional marketing jobs that weren't calling her back anyway, Elena decided to use her marketing skills in a completely different way. She started researching small businesses in her area that had terrible online presence. She began reaching out to local restaurants, boutiques, service providers, businesses that were struggling with social media and digital marketing but couldn't afford big agencies. Elena offered to help these businesses for free initially, just to build a portfolio and prove her value. She worked from coffee shops, libraries, anywhere she could get free internet. She created social media campaigns on her phone, designed simple websites using free platforms, wrote marketing copy on borrowed laptops within 2 months. Elena had helped 3 small businesses increase their customer base significantly. Word spread in the small business community. Referrals started coming in. Business owners began offering to pay her for services they previously couldn't afford because she understood their constraints and worked within their budgets. 6 months after losing everything, Elena was running her own digital marketing consultancy specializing in small businesses. She was making more money than she ever made as an employee, working flexible hours that allowed her to be more present for her daughter, and helping other people build their dreams instead of just building someone else's company. But more than the external success, Elena had discovered something about herself that she never would have found if life hadn't forced her to look. She was resourceful in ways she never knew. She was creative under pressure in ways she never imagined. She was stronger in crisis than she ever was in comfort. She had entrepreneurial instincts that had been buried under the safety of employment. She had a passion for helping small businesses that she never would have explored if she hadn't become one herself. Elena's breaking point became her breakthrough point because she stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking, "What is this teaching me?" She stopped focusing on what was taken from her and started focusing on what was being revealed in her. Your tough times are not punishment, they are preparation. Your struggles are not evidence that you are weak, they are proof that you are being strengthened. Your setbacks are not signs that you should give up, they are signals that you are about to level up. When it gets tough, when everything seems to be falling apart, when you feel like you can't take another hit, remember Elena. Remember that your breaking point is actually your breakthrough point. Remember that what looks like the end is often just the beginning in disguise. What you're going through right now is not an accident. It's not bad luck. It's not the universe conspiring against you. What you're experiencing is the furnace of character. And every great person who ever lived has spent time in that furnace. The heat you feel, the pressure you're under, the intensity of your current struggle, these are not signs that something is wrong with your life. These are signs that something is being forged in your life. You see, diamonds are not created in comfort. They are formed deep in the earth under extreme pressure and intense heat over thousands of years. Steel is not shaped by gentle touches. It is heated to over 2,000 degrees and hammered repeatedly until it becomes stronger than it ever was in its original form. Gold is not purified through relaxation. It is melted down in furnaces that burn away every impurity until only the precious metal remains. The same principle applies to human beings. Your character is not developed during easy times. Your strength is not built when everything is going well. Your capacity is not expanded when life is comfortable. The qualities that will make you great, resilience, creativity, determination, faith, courage, these are only developed under pressure. Let me tell you about Marcus. 4 years ago, Marcus was a successful restaurant owner with 3 locations across the city. He had built his business from a single food truck into a thriving enterprise that employed 47 people. Marcus thought he had figured out the formula for success. He had good food, loyal customers, experienced staff, and steady profits. He was planning to expand to 2 more locations and maybe franchise the concept. Then the economy crashed in his city. The main employer, a manufacturing plant that employed 12,000 people, closed down and moved operations overseas. Within 6 months, Marcus watched his customer base disappear as people lost their jobs and moved away looking for work. His revenue dropped by 70% almost overnight. Marcus tried everything to keep his restaurants afloat. He reduced staff, cut costs, lowered prices, extended hours, introduced delivery services. He borrowed money against his house, maxed out credit cards, and asked family members for loans. But nothing could stop the downward spiral. One by one, he had to close his restaurants. First the newest location, then the second, and finally even his original restaurant that had started it all within 18 months. Marcus had lost everything. His business was gone, his savings were depleted, his credit was ruined. He had to sell his house and move his family into a small apartment. The man who used to employ dozens of people was now standing in line at employment offices looking for any work he could find. But here's what Marcus discovered in that furnace of character. When everything external was stripped away, he found qualities in himself that had never been tested before. He found that he could work 16-hour days without complaining when he was working towards something meaningful. He found that he could live on very little when he had to. He found that he could maintain hope even when circumstances looked hopeless. He found that failure didn't kill him. It taught him. During his lowest point, Marcus took a job as a line cook at someone else's restaurant, making minimum wage. But instead of feeling bitter about the come down, Marcus used it as a learning opportunity. He studied how this restaurant operated efficiently with lower overhead. He learned new cooking techniques from the head chef. He observed how they managed inventory, controlled costs, and maintained quality with fewer resources. Marcus spent 2 years working for other people. But he wasn't just earning a paycheck, he was earning an education. Every day he worked for someone else. He was gathering knowledge that would make his next business venture better than his first. Every month he struggled financially. He was developing a deeper understanding of how to operate lean and efficient. Every time he felt the sting of starting over, he was building the emotional resilience that would carry him through future challenges. When Marcus finally opened his new restaurant, it was different from his previous ventures this time. He started small and focused on profitability rather than rapid expansion this time. He built multiple revenue streams instead of depending on one income source this time. He saved aggressively during good months to prepare for difficult seasons this time. He hired carefully and cross-trained his staff to handle multiple roles. Most importantly, this time Marcus understood that success is not about avoiding problems. It's about developing the capacity to handle bigger problems. His new restaurant didn't just survive the next economic downturn, it thrived because Marcus had been forged in the furnace of character and emerged stronger than before. The furnace you're in right now is not destroying you, it's developing you. The heat you feel is not burning you up. It's burning away everything that is not essential to who you're becoming. The pressure you're under is not crushing you. It's compressing you into the diamond you were meant to be. Every day you survive in that furnace, you become stronger. Every challenge you overcome adds to your capacity. Every setback you recover from builds your resilience. You are not the same person who entered this difficult season. And you will not be the same person who exits it. You are being upgraded through adversity. Most people make a critical mistake when facing difficult times. They focus so intently on what they're losing that they completely miss what they're gaining. They become so consumed with the pain of their struggle that they overlook the gifts hidden within that struggle. But every challenge you face carries within it the seeds of an equivalent or greater opportunity. Every problem contains the blueprint for its own solution, plus something extra you never expected. Your current difficulty is not just something you need to get through, it's something you need to grow through. Hidden in your struggle are abilities you didn't know you had, strengths you never needed to develop, opportunities you would never have noticed during comfortable times, and a destiny you could never have accessed without this experience. Listen to what happened to Isabella 3 years ago. Isabella was a high school English teacher who loved her job, loved working with teenagers, loved the rhythm of the academic year. She had taught for 8 years and was comfortable with her routine, her lesson plans, her predictable schedule. Isabella never thought of herself as particularly creative or entrepreneurial. She was a teacher, and that identity felt complete. Then Isabella started losing her voice. At first, she thought it was just from talking all day in crowded classrooms, but the hoarseness persisted, then worsened. After months of medical consultations, specialists told her she had developed vocal cord damage that would likely be permanent. She could whisper, but she could no longer project her voice the way teaching required for Isabella. This felt like the end of everything she had built her life around. How could she teach teenagers if she couldn't speak loudly enough to manage a classroom? How could she explain complex literature if students couldn't hear her clearly? How could she maintain authority and connection with her students if she could barely whisper? Isabella went through months of despair, thinking her career was over, wondering what else she could possibly do with her life. She applied for desk jobs that felt meaningless to her. She considered leaving education entirely. She felt like her identity had been stolen from her. But in her darkest moment, Isabella remembered something from her teaching training years earlier. She had learned basic sign language as part of a course on inclusive education, but had never used it because her school didn't have deaf students. Suddenly, an idea began forming in her mind. Isabella started researching the deaf community in her city. She discovered that there was a huge shortage of qualified sign language interpreters, especially in educational settings. She found out that many deaf and hard of hearing students were struggling in mainstream schools because they didn't have access to quality interpretation service. While most people would have seen her voice loss as a disability, Isabella began to see it as a redirection. She enrolled in advanced sign language courses and interpreter training programs. She learned that her teaching background actually made her an exceptional candidate for educational interpreting because she understood classroom dynamics, curriculum development, and how students learn within 2 years. Isabella had become a certified educational interpreter, but she didn't stop there. She started her own interpreting service that specialized in educational settings. She began training other interpreters, developing programs to integrate deaf students more effectively into mainstream classrooms, and advocating for improved accessibility in schools today. Isabella runs the most successful educational interpreting service in her region. She works with dozens of schools, has trained over 100 interpreters, and has helped hundreds of deaf students access quality education. She makes more money than she ever did as a teacher, has more flexibility in her schedule, and feels a deeper sense of purpose than ever before. But here's the most remarkable part of Isabella's story. She told me that losing her voice was the best thing that ever happened to her. It forced her to find her true calling. A calling she never would have discovered if everything had stayed comfortable and predictable. Your struggle is not your enemy, it's your teacher. Your problem is not your punishment, it's your preparation. Your difficulty is not your destruction, it's your development. Hidden within what you're going through right now is the next level of your life waiting to be accessed. You are stronger than you think you are right now in this moment, sitting where you are. You possess strength you have never accessed, resilience you have never tested, and power you have never unleashed. The problem is that this strength only reveals itself under pressure. It only emerges when comfort is removed. It only shows up when you have no other choice but to be strong. Most people live their entire lives never knowing what they're truly capable of because they never face circumstances that require them to reach beyond their perceived limitations. They stay within safe boundaries, avoid risks, choose security over growth, and die with their greatest strengths still locked inside them. But tough times strip away the luxury of staying small. When life pushes you to your breaking point, you discover that your breaking point is much further than you thought. When circumstances demand more from you than you think you can give, you find reserves of strength you didn't know existed. The strength I'm talking about is not physical strength, though that may be part of it. I'm talking about the strength to keep going when everything in you wants to quit. The strength to maintain hope when all evidence suggests you should despair. The strength to take one more step when you thought you had already taken your last. The strength to rebuild when everything you built has been destroyed. This strength exists in every human being. but it lies dormant until adversity awakens it. It's like a muscle that only develops when it's challenged. It's like a well that only gets deeper when it's drawn from during drought. It's like a fire that only burns brighter when the wind tries to blow it out. You have survived every difficult day of your life so far. Think about that for a moment. Every challenge that seemed impossible to overcome, you overcame. Every problem that felt too big to solve, you solved or learned to live with. Every heartbreak that felt like it would destroy you, you survived. Every loss that seemed unbearable, you bore. Every failure that felt final, you recovered from. Your track record of getting through hard times is 100%, not 90%, not 95%, 100%. You are undefeated in the game of survival. You are a champion at overcoming adversity, even if you don't feel like one. But here's what most people don't understand about strength. It doesn't feel strong when you're using it. When you're in the middle of your toughest battle, you don't feel powerful. You feel tired, overwhelmed, uncertain, afraid. Real strength doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It shows up quietly in the decision to take one more breath, make one more effort, try one more approach. Strength is not the absence of fear, it's the presence of action despite fear. Strength is not feeling confident, it's moving forward without confidence. Strength is not having all the answers, it's continuing to search for solutions when answers seem impossible to find. The strength you need for your current situation already exists within you. It's not something you need to develop or acquire. It's something you need to access and trust. It's been there all along, waiting for circumstances difficult enough to call it forth. Stop waiting for external circumstances to change before you tap into your internal strength. Stop looking for easier problems that require less of you. Stop hoping that someone else will come along and solve what only you can solve. The strength you need is already yours. The power you're looking for is already within you. The capacity you require is already part of your design. Your current struggle is not evidence that you lack strength. It's evidence that you're being called to access strength you've never used before. It's not proof that you're weak. It's proof that you're ready to become stronger. Every day you endure what feels unendurable. You prove to yourself and the universe that you are more resilient than your toughest day. Now let me give you something concrete. Something you can use starting today to transform your toughest moments into your greatest triumphs. I want to tell you about Victoria, whose story contains every element we've discussed. The breaking point that became a breakthrough, the furnace that forged her character, the hidden gifts in her struggle, and the strengths she discovered she always had. Victoria was 28 years old when her world collapsed in the span of 3 weeks. She had been working as a graphic designer for a tech startup that she believed was going places. She loved the creative work, the innovative environment, the young team of ambitious professionals. Victoria had even taken a pay cut from her previous corporate job because she believed in the company's mission and wanted to be part of something special. But the startup ran out of funding faster than anyone anticipated on a Monday morning. Victoria and 37 other employees were called into a meeting and told that the company was closing immediately. No severance packages, no advance notice, no help with job placement. Just clean out your desk and turn in your keys. That same week, Victoria received a call from her mother that her father had suffered a massive heart attack and was in intensive care. The medical bills were overwhelming, and her parents needed financial help immediately. The following week, Victoria's longtime boyfriend told her he had been offered a job in another state and was moving without her. He said he needed space to figure out his life and couldn't handle the stress of her family situation. In 21 days, Victoria lost her job, her financial security, her father's health stability, and her relationship. She moved back home to help care for her father and found herself sleeping in her childhood bedroom at 28 years old, unemployed, single, and drowning in family medical debt. For the first month, Victoria barely functioned. She applied for jobs mechanically, spent hours sitting by her father's hospital bed, and wondered how her carefully planned life had unraveled so completely. She felt like a failure as a professional, as a daughter, as a partner. She questioned every decision she had made that led to this point. But Victoria's comeback began with a simple realization. While sitting in that hospital waiting room for the 100th time, she noticed how confused and overwhelmed other families looked when trying to navigate the complex medical system. Nurses were too busy to explain procedures thoroughly. Doctors spoke in medical terminology that families didn't understand. Insurance representatives used language that seemed designed to confuse rather than clarify. Victoria started helping other families understand what was happening with their loved ones. She used her design skills to create simple visual guides explaining common medical procedures. She helped translate medical jargon into plain language. She showed families how to organize medical documents and communicate effectively with healthcare providers. What started as informal help for fellow families in crisis became something bigger when a hospital social worker noticed what Victoria was doing. The social worker asked if Victoria would be interested in creating educational materials for the hospital's patient advocacy program. That conversation led to a freelance contract, which led to contracts with other medical facilities, which led to Victoria realizing she had found her calling. Victoria discovered that her design skills, combined with her recent experience navigating the medical system, made her uniquely qualified to help healthcare organizations communicate more effectively with patients and families. She started a specialized design consultancy focused exclusively on healthcare communication within 18 months. Victoria was working with hospitals, clinics, and medical practices across 3 states, creating patient education materials, simplifying complex medical information, and designing systems that made healthcare more accessible and understandable for ordinary people. Her father's health crisis had led her to a specialized niche in the design industry that she never would have considered otherwise. But Victoria's transformation went beyond professional success. Caring for her father taught her about resilience, responsibility, and what really matters in life. Losing her relationship showed her that she was stronger on her own than she had ever been with someone who couldn't handle her struggles. Starting over from nothing proved to her that she could build something meaningful from any circumstances. Today, Victoria runs a thriving business that employs 12 people and serves healthcare organizations nationwide. Her father made a full recovery and often tells people that his heart attack was the best thing that ever happened to his daughter's career. Victoria is in a relationship with a man who admires her strength and supports her ambitions instead of being threatened by them. But the most important transformation was internal. Victoria learned that setbacks are setups for comebacks. She learned that her lowest point was actually her launching point. She learned that every ending is also a beginning. Every loss is also an opportunity. Every breakdown is also a breakthrough waiting to happen. Here's your comeback protocol. First, accept where you are without judgment. Stop wasting energy fighting reality and start using that energy to create a new reality. Second, look for the gifts hidden in your struggle. Ask yourself what skills you're developing, what insights you're gaining, what opportunities are becoming visible because of your current circumstances. Third, take one small action every day that moves you toward where you want to be. Progress is not about giant leaps. It's about consistent steps in the right direction. Fourth, surround yourself with people who believe in your comeback even when you struggle to believe in it yourself. Your tough times are not your final destination. They are your preparation station. You are not being punished. You are being promoted to a level that requires everything you're learning right now. Your comeback story is being written in this very moment. The question is not whether you'll overcome this. The question is who you'll become in the process.